Alright, I gotta make the obligatory video. The remaster's real. I don't really have much to add. I'm sure you've watched a dozen videos or read a dozen articles of people saying, hey, it's real, look, this is happening tomorrow in the morning. If you're a normal person, you're going to be at work. If you're Australian, well, who knows? I want to talk a little bit more in detail about this because, well, I've read articles that talk about the stamina system changing and the fatigue system changing. And before this releases, I want to have one last time where I speculate about what this might look like. Now, I'm a little nervous because fatigue is actually a very small part of Oblivion because all it really does is it changes physical damage. It's not like Morrowind in that way, where if you're not a physical damage dealing player, it doesn't really do anything. And to be more specific, the way it works in your damage formula is, so let's say I have 24 base weapon damage, and maybe I'm using a glass warhammer that is 24 base weapon damage, and we'll pretend this is my blunt skill. If I have 24 base weapon damage with that glass warhammer, I have 100 strength, 100 blunt, I have 75 armorer skill, so I've repaired my weapon to 105 durability, and I have max fatigue. Well, each swing will deal about 29 damage. If you're not rounding, it's 28.6875. And what fatigue does is at no fatigue, so if I have 0 fatigue, I do half damage. You get a 0.5 multiplier. So notice at 100%, it's a 1 times damage multiplier. At 0, you deal half damage. Now, what a lot of people don't realize is that you can fortify your fatigue. There are sigil stones that add 50 fatigue, and a custom spell, can add 100. And because of the low base cost, it's actually pretty cheap, where even warriors can cast a couple of those. So I think it's pretty normal for late game to have about 300 maximum fatigue. And then what you can do is you can cast, so we'll say I have 300, plus I'll cast 2 Fortify Fatigue 100 spells. Because of spell effectiveness, that'll add 95. And maybe I have 2 Sigil Stones on my gear that are fortifying my fatigue. That would give me, let's just add 10 because why not? Maybe I have 1 Fortify Fatigue 10 enchant as well because I like round numbers. This would change that percent. Oops, I should say times 100, shouldn't I? Because this is 200%. That would make my fatigue percent 200. And that would cause my damage multiplier to go from 1 to 1.5. And so what happens is the only way to increase your damage in Oblivion after you have 100 attribute, after you have 100 skill, and your weapon is at max durability, is to fortify your fatigue and then to use restore fatigue either through potions or magic to keep it at that maximum fortified value. If they change the stamina system, are they going to rework all of the damage in the game? And the systems within Oblivion are actually really interconnected. If you change this damage formula, which I really hope they do because, well, if you've watched my content, I make tons of spreadsheets, tons and tons and tons of videos, pretty much just talking about the specific mechanics and balance of Oblivion. That's like 90% of my content. And I would love to just do it all over again. If they don't change it, though, I feel like my videos will be a lot more valuable, but I'd rather just remake them because that's more fun. I also want to talk about what I think they should do. So if they don't change fatigue, which I hope they don't, I kind of like the system, unless they change it to be like Skyrim, I guess that'd be fine. But let's say theoretically they keep it the same. There is a big problem with physical damage in Oblivion. If you've watched my destruction deep dives or you've watched any of my videos about how to deal lots of damage, it pretty much always involves weakness spells or elemental damage or powerful custom enchants. And so what that means is I think that what they should change in the game is, well, right now, these are the base weapon damage for longsword, or these are for warhammers. So we said that glass warhammers have a base weapon damage of 24. I think early game, if you've ever played Oblivion, your damage feels good. It feels fine. I don't personally have a problem with my damage early game. But as you go on to the late game, well, the best longsword you can use only has a base damage of 25. So the most I'll ever do is 30 damage with that weapon. In fact, Umbra is a unique weapon, a unique one-handed longsword that has a base weapon damage of 28. And because it's a one-handed weapon, you can use your sneak attack damage. So the most sneak attack damage you can ever do in the game without fortifying your fatigue is 198. And that's pretty low. That's only 33 damage per swing. The best weapon in the game, the Perfect Amber Warhammer, is about 35 damage, and that's a two-handed Warhammer. It weighs 98 pounds, so a power attack costs 84 fatigue. So if you're fortifying your fatigue, you have to really be doing a lot to restore it with that beast of a weapon. I think by end game, when you get those really powerful weapons, I think your base weapon damage needs to go up by quite a bit more. So I was thinking if instead of these bonuses going up by 1 and then changing to up by 2, I think they should go up by 2 and then change to 3 and end with bonuses of 4. And that would end, so a Perfect Amber Longsword in this scenario would do 37 and a Perfect Amber Warhammer would do 41, which is quite a bit more. But if you look, let's type in 41 here. 41. That's still only 49 damage per swing and 122 damage per swing from a power attack. If you've watched my videos on custom enchants, you'll know that if you do a custom Grand Soul Gem enchant, you can add 50 elemental damage per swing just from an enchant. And you can add that to an Iron Dagger. I could have something with 10 base weapon damage, 5 strength, 5 skill, don't repair it, and no fatigue. It's 1 damage. But I add that custom enchant, and this attack would still do more than that Perfect Amber 100 skill, 100 attribute, repaired, and full fatigue attack, because this still only does 49. So I think with these changes, the balance of the game would feel a lot better, and some of those late game damage sponges wouldn't be so bad. The only other ones that they should really change are Goblin Warlords. They have 30 health per level, which is just stupid. And I think Ogres have 26. Nothing should gain more than 20 health per level. I think 20 health is kind of the cap. If you want to have a tanky enemy, 20 health per level is good. Zivali, the highest level Daedra, only gain 12 health per level. And I think that's good for a more caster magic enemy with a high spell absorption. They summon Clan Fears. And so they're not so much their high health pool. They have just a big toolkit. I don't really have much more to talk about. I'm really excited for this. I know a lot of you, reading my comments, a lot of people are poo-pooing it. Whatever this looks like, this is going to be really fun for me to just dive into the math of it, and I'm hoping that there's something different. If nothing is different, well, then I guess all my spreadsheets are still valid, and I really hope that's not the case, because I want to redo them all. I've been itching to do it. I need something new. I downloaded Daggerfall and Daggerfall Unity, and if this isn't coming out soon, I'm going to start on Daggerfall, because these spreadsheets are already done. You can watch any of my other videos. I feel like I've kind of done everything I really want to with Oblivion, unless something changes. So I'm really hyped for this. I wish I had more to say. I can't get it into me to do any more content until something new comes out. I can't just keep repeating what everybody repeats. So thanks for watching.